So Dr. Horowitz, this show is going to be on YouTube as well. So make sure your adoring fans come and become a subscriber. Okay, I'm getting some feedback.
Let me shut
Make
down
sure, make sure your audio is connected to your headset. Okay?
Bridges we burn, we make mistakes.
So it's time to dance, Dr. Horowitz.
Live and learn when life gets tough.
Oh, there you go. You do dance when you're on.
If
You're gonna have to dance when you're talking. Go ahead and say something and dance.
I'll be right here,
waiting for you.
right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, the purpose of the show is to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening friend, will feel empowered to live the life of your dreams. Now, today we're giving out a book, and every time I give out this book, my phone rings for like 3 days because people want to get this book. The book is called How Can I Get Better? It's an action plan for treating resistant Lyme and chronic disease. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube or will be watching on YouTube later once the show is posted, you'll get to see Dr. Richard Horowitz, because every time he is on the air on the Lillian McDermott radio show, I'm telling you, everybody wants to learn more about this. This is an epidemic that is not being talked about. And we've got some great news by Dr. Horowitz because his hard work is paying off. And so Dr. Horowitz today, we've talked about Lyme disease. And for those of you who can't figure out why you can't get better, tune in, listen up, take notes, call in 407-373-5959 because the fifth caller or texter, 407-373-5959, will get his book, How Can I Get Better? Now, today, he is back, and we are going to talk about how we can get better from our allergies. So many of us say to ourselves, oh, I'm not allergic to anything, but you have conditions that could be an allergic reaction, but you just accept it as that's the way life is. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Dr. Richard Horowitz is on the Lillian McDermott radio show. Welcome, Dr. Horowitz.
Thank you, Lillian. It's great to be here again.
I know, and I got to see you dance. You're a great chair dancer. This is unbelievable. Thank you so much. Now, share a little bit about your background because, people tune in and out all the time, and they may not have listened to you before. By the way, you could go to whenyouneedafriend.com, and I think this is your third time, right?
Yes, this is the third time.
2 more times, and we'll have a special handshake. So share a little bit about your background and what led you to discovering this Lyme-resistant treatment that you come up with.
Right. So I'm a board-certified internist. I had done my medical training initially at Mount Sinai down in New York City. I came up to the Hudson Valley, New York, which is about 2 hours north of New York City. And I walked into one of the largest Lyme endemic areas in the United States. The problem that I faced is that I started seeing all these people who, although the majority would get better with short-term treatment, many would come back and say, Doc, I'm chronically ill. I have fatigue. I have headaches. I have muscle and joint pain. My memory's not working. I can't fall asleep. I've got mood disorders. And I went on a journey for the past 30 years to figure out why all of these people kept coming to be being chronically ill. And I discovered that there's up to 16 reasons why people may stay chronically ill. And I describe it as if someone was going into a doctor's office with 16 nails in their foot. You've just got to pull all the nails out.
Sure.
And so what we're going to discuss today, which I think is surprising to most listeners, is that food actually plays a very large role in why many people in the United States are sick and complaining a lot of these symptoms. And they think, well, I don't have Lyme disease. I may have chronic fatigue syndrome, or I may have fibromyalgia, or I've got an autoimmune illness. What does food have to do, with any of these things? And that's what we're going to talk about today.
It's amazing. It's amazing to me because not too long ago, I would say, gosh, in 96, I discovered food allergies. And prior to going to have my testing, of course, there were so many people that were presented in my life that led me to saying, I'm going to check my allergies because I'm going to find out what I'm sensitive to because of these symptoms I was having. When I went to the allergist, Dr. Horowitz, I was horrified when they told me there is no connection. This was 96 now. There's no connection between food allergies and acid reflux. Can you believe that?
No, there definitely isn't. In fact, I've had people with resistant gastrointestinal symptoms of reflux, nausea, vomiting. Doc, I've got irritable bowel with alternating constipation, diarrhea. I've even got inflammatory bowel with Crohn's disease, and they're giving me all these drugs, and I'm not getting better. And it turned out that they were ignoring the fact that these people had inflammation in the gut. They developed multiple food allergies over time. And once you remove the food allergens or foods that they were just sensitive to, not true allergies, many of these people did get better.
Well, okay, listen up, my listening friends, because today you're going to discover if you really do have an allergy or not. Well, continue to listen because Dr. Richard Horowitz is in the house, and we're going to continue to learn and grow with our teacher today worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Recording. So Dr. Horowitz, you're not going to believe this. So I was treated for 2 years for a sinus infection, 2 years with antibiotics,
right?
2 years. And I finally got so tired of all the antibiotics, I decided to go to an ENT. The ENT looks up my nose with a scope and says, you don't have a sinus infection. You have acid reflux. And I'm thinking, acid reflux? And so he goes, yeah, you must have something that's causing that to happen to you. So I intuitively went to an allergist. And that's when my allergist said, there's no correlation between food allergies and infections like, and he just suggested that I take Nexium and I did for a long time. But before that, I learned that I was allergic to wheat, dairy, peanuts, almonds, peas, and rye. And I did that with a scratch test. And overnight, my stomach issues went away.
Yeah. No, people don't always make the association between the two. And it's important, for example, and I'll share this a little bit later, but
yes.
I had asthma since I was young and allergies. And once I got off dairy and my allergic foods, my allergies and my asthma got completely better. And they're only triggered when I'm eating dairy and eating the wrong foods, which are called histamine releasers. And many people don't know they're histamine sensitive with their foods. So, it's important for people to realize.
What happened? We lose the station. Oh.
There it is.
Brian, did we lose you?
Yeah, it says that you have bad internet, but it's better now. I think I'll click you.
I do?
It's good now. You were in the red before.
I was in the red?
Yeah, now it's in the white.
I am so glad that we're back. Okay, so how much time do we have before?
17 seconds.
Well, if we could have planned that in any better, it was during a commercial break. So we're about to come back. So get ready to dance again, Dr. Horowitz. Now, this time, if you sing, we'll be able to see you on the screen dancing. Here we go.
You can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 1-800-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the McDermott Radio Show, where I am enjoying Dr. Richard Horowitz during the break. So you can watch what we talk about on YouTube when just go to whenyounneedafriend.com and click on the YouTube hyperlink, and that's a quick way to get there. Today we're talking about asthma and stomach issues and gastric issues. And if you're taking Nexium, if you're taking inhibitors, allergy, I don't know. There's so many over-the-counter stuff, nasal inhalers, whatever it is, listen up. Because today we are talking to Dr. Richard Horowitz on how we can get better. Originally, this started with treating Lyme disease, resistant Lyme disease, and chronic disease. But today we're going to be talking about every month, right, Dr. Horowitz? Every month we're going to talk about something, what else we can get better about.
Well, the reason that a lot of these things are important, and I don't think people realize it, is that we now know that inflammation is the number one cause of many people's chronic diseases, but people don't realize that the inflammation can be coming from multiple sources. So, of course, in Lyme disease, it's coming from bacteria, but there are also parasites that might be in your gut that are causing problems. There could be viruses, but we also have foods that cause an allergic manifestation that can cause inflammation. Some people are deficient in certain minerals like zinc that can cause inflammation. If your foods, for example, are causing blood sugar swings with hypoglycemia, you may not be sleeping. When you don't sleep, you get inflammation. So it's important that all of these things link up. They're not separate. And people need to realize that your diet, apart from, of course, exercising and proper sleep, are just really the cornerstones of proper health. And many people don't realize they are sensitive or allergic to these foods, and they're affecting their health.
Absolutely. And so for those of you, let me remind you that if you would like a copy of this book, How Can I Get Better? You can be the 5th caller to leave a message or texter to type How Can I Get Better and win a free copy of this book. Let me tell you, Dr. Horowitz. Oh, and the number is 407-373-5959. I'm telling you, you need to put it in your speed dial because we give away so many things on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. You might as well enjoy and take advantage of it. 407-373-5959. Dr. Horowitz, in your book, you call Lyme disease the great imitator. Now, allergies can they take on an imitation, be a great imitator as well?
Oh, absolutely. There's not any doubt. The people who come to see me who have symptoms of classic Lyme like fatigue, pain, muscle pain, joint pain, nerve pain, headaches, memory problems, mood swings, insomnia. These can also be due to food allergies or food sensitivities. So the problem is that it's not just a question if you have asthma or allergic rhinitis with sneezing and dripping, or you have eczema where you have itching on your skin. Those are classic manifestations of allergies, as well as people who say, well, I eat strawberries and my throat closes up, right? Those are people who have immediate hypersensitivity reactions. But there are people that also have delayed hypersensitivity reactions, meaning they eat foods and then 6 hours later or 12 or a day later, even up to 48 hours later, they start getting these symptoms where they notice that they're feeling more tired. They get headaches. So for example, hypoglycemia is very common in the United States because about half of Americans have what's called metabolic syndrome. They have insulin resistance. They have too many carbohydrates and sugars in their diet. So if you're someone listening and you're noticing mid-morning or mid-afternoon, you start yawning. You feel very tired. You get what people call, I get hangry. I get hungry and angry, irritable, right? I get palpitations, dizziness, mood swings. I start getting foggy. Well, those are all symptoms of blood sugar swings. So people need to realize that if the amount of carbohydrates in your diet is off and it's not balanced, and we now know that diets like a Mediterranean/paleo style diet is very healthy for the American public. It's good for longevity, for cancer prevention, for many things. If you eat enough protein balanced with carbs, you don't get these symptoms and you feel better. But from my perspective, all these other chronic diseases I see, they're exacerbated by blood sugar swings. So, we have a problem with weight in the United States. Many people, of course, are overweight. They don't know how to lose weight. A lot of this is from insulin resistance, and people feel much worse when they put too much sugar in their diet.
Okay, so when you just finished describing the typical American. The typical American is overweight. We're eating the standard American diet, which has greatly been dubbed SAD, Standard American Diet. And it's also Deadly American Diet. So as we are looking at this, how do we discern what is coming from our food supply or what is coming from some issue that we're having outside of that?
Well, I mean, for a lot of people, first of all, you need to differentiate as to whether you have an immediate hypersensitivity reaction, like you eat peanuts, right? Or you eat strawberries and immediately your throat closes, you get edema and swelling. That's a different story than what we're discussing.
Sure,
today.
of course.
But people need to know that you can develop peanut allergies even as an adult. Between 1 to 1.5% of the US population develops these type of allergies later on. And some of this is due to what's called leaky gut.
Yes.
Or hyperpermeability. And what this means is that if you're someone, for example, who's had cancer and has had radiation or chemotherapy, or you've got long-term bacterial infections or yeast infections in your gut, or you've taken antibiotics for infections and your doctors have not given you the proper probiotics to replace it, or you have certain autoimmune diseases, or even what's very common is exposure to mercury and heavy metals, or EMFs in the environment, GMOs. They've now shown that these can affect the tight junctions of our cells in the intestine. It makes the intestine more permeable to foods. These macromolecules, these large molecules of food get into your body and they start causing you to be tired, to have headaches and resistant migraines, to have stomach issues with nausea, vomiting, constipation. You get bloated with gas. You may have cognitive issues, mood swings. These can all be due to hyperpermeability in the gut. Which is due to candida. Again, too much carbohydrates in the diet or taking long-term antibiotics, having things that cause this extra permeability. So we have to heal the gut. Healing the gut is very essential in people who have multiple food allergies or sensitivities.
Without a doubt, healing the gut is the number one priority. But here we are with, you mentioned so many things, GMOs. The other thing you mentioned were EMFs. A lot of people don't realize that these same EMFs that are in their Bluetooth, their phones, we're carrying it in our watches. We're surrounded by these EMFs. But these same can cause sterility. It could cause, what else can these EMFs cause?
Well, so the problem that we're seeing is there's a certain grouping of people who come to us who have what are called multiple chemical sensitivity. So these are the most difficult patients that I treat because they're sensitive to many things in the environment. So some are sensitive to smells, perfumes, diesel. Their detox pathways are not working correctly in the body. And then in Florida, for example, you guys had a problem a while ago where they put in these radio frequency meters to check the electricity at the house.
I couldn't sleep after that.
Well, we've heard the same stories from people who come to me from Florida and some of the southern states where some people happen to be EMF sensitive. And sometimes you just have to basically shut off, your Wi-Fi at night and get into a safe environment. But people don't realize that these EMFs, apart from, now we know, don't put cell phones directly against your head. They've now, in the rat model, they've now been shown they're related to glioblastomas, to cancers in the brain. But they also affect leaky gut. They've shown that some of the permeability in the gut is now due to multiple factors like mercury, GMO foods, EMFs, candida and yeast in the gut. So people need to heal the gut. If you're someone who says, I'm itchy, I'm wheezing, I'm sneezing, I have allergies, I have asthma, but also I'm tired and I have migraines that I can't explain. I have mood swings and I can't sleep at night. I have unexplained pain. And that could be someone who has chronic fatigue or fibromyalgia, not from Lyme, but from viruses or other factors, or even someone with an autoimmune illness. I have a great story of a guy. His name was Brad. And Brad basically had rheumatoid arthritis. So in other words, he had true rheumatoid arthritis, but Brad also had a problem with Lyme disease and food allergies, and he didn't realize it. So what basically happened is his rheumatologist, he had seen like 8 of them, couldn't help his rheumatoid arthritis. But his pain was migratory. And migratory pain is the hallmark of Lyme disease. So we treated his Lyme disease. Some of the pain got better. We treated a parasite called Babesia. Some of his pain got better. But every Sunday, Brad was eating bagels, cream cheese, and lox because that's what he would do basically on Sundays, and his knees would swell up to 3 times the size. And when he was gluten sensitive, he didn't realize that he had probably didn't celiac, but he was gluten sensitive. And once he got off his gluten sensitive foods, the rheumatoid arthritis and all of his Lyme symptoms got significantly better. So a lot of doctors and rheumatologists don't realize that you can have more than one thing wrong with you at once. You're allowed to have rheumatoid arthritis and get a tick bite and have food sensitivities at the same point in time. These all cause inflammation in the body.
You know, there should be a limit to how many things happen to our body at one time, right? But that's not the perfect world. This is the world we live in. Now, you have another story. It sounds like, you know, when you talk about itchy, sneezy, grumpy, like the 7 dwarfs. We live in Florida, so we're familiar with the 7 dwarfs. We need to call this the 7 culprits for disease, because it really is affecting us. And so many people, I've had to bite my tongue. I had this woman who was morbidly obese, had diabetes, and had pain all over her body tell me, I'm so blessed, I'm not allergic to anything. What do you say to people that have that belief, that limiting belief?
Well, you see, the problem is that, first of all, they may have only been tested by a type of diagnostic test called an IgE. IgE is immediate hypersensitivity to foods. But there's another form of a test called IgG. IgG is delayed hypersensitivity reactions. And also, you have to be careful because people have what's now developing from a tick bite from the Lone Star tick, which is in Texas, it's in Florida, it's in many parts of the US. You can get a meat allergy from the bite of this tick. With the saliva of the tick, when it gets in, it causes an allergic reaction. And 6 hours later, you're in the emergency room complaining of an anaphylactic reaction where you're wheezing and you can't breathe. And this has now been spreading across the US. So you have to make sure that if you have a sudden anaphylactic reaction, you have not gotten the bite of a Lone Star tick, that you don't have other allergies, but you could have, again, delayed hypersensitivity where 24 to 48 hours, you're complaining of headaches and fatigue and pain and gas and bloating. So you need to do IgE, immediate testing, IgG, delayed testing. You can do what's called a secretory IgA. You can check for gluten with an anti-gliadin antibody and a TTG to make sure you don't have celiac or gluten sensitivity. And then again, you can check for the gut to see if the gut has hyperpermeability. We also find that checking histamine in the blood is very important. For example, I had asthma since I've been very young, and I had to use sprays and inhalers.
Yep.
Well, it turned out that I was a histamine releaser. And once I got off my histamine foods, for me, it was dairy, dark chocolate. Everybody can be crying at this point because
But you know what? Let's give people a little break, Dr. Horowitz, because they're already crying. And we're going to continue our conversation worldwide with Dr. Horowitz. Please remember to call 407-373-5959 and claim your copy. We'll be right here waiting for you. Oh my gosh. Now, Brian, I know that you're going to play the tick song, right? Where's Brian? Where's Brian?
We're still coming out of the thing.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Like, you can talk. I turned your mic off. I just couldn't hear.
Perfect.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna be able to hear it or not, though.
Oh, how come?
Because it's coming through a different pot. I'm not sure if it's gonna get sent down or not. I'm gonna try. If not, I'll just blast it and put my microphone on so you'll hear that at least.
Okay, so are you gonna say the intro information that we normally say?
The what?
The intro information that Larry normally says. Is that gonna be on there?
What intro information?
The intro, like to call Lillian, call 407-373-5959.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's not going to be in there? Well,
No,
you may want to, yeah.
Well, you can't really put that over lyrics. It would sound like a mess.
Okay. So you're just doing like 30 seconds, right? 1 minute, 30 seconds?
I mean, whatever you want. Ashley said a minute, but if you want less, you can do less.
Well, just pick the area that talks about him being which one was the part that you sang at, Dr. Horowitz?
That's me singing on the entire song.
And that's John Hall?
That's Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates. Daryl is backing me up. Daryl's doing the backup vocals. I'm singing lead, and Daryl is backing me up on that song.
I did not realize that.
Oh, yeah, no, I wrote the music and the lyrics. That's me singing, and that's Daryl who's playing Hammond organ and backing
Now, do you know these guys?
Oh, yeah, I'm good friends with Daryl.
Well, tell him to come on the show. I'd love to talk about his journey. Yeah. Okay. So before we get back, how much time do we have?
The rejoiners at 30. We have 3 minutes.
Oh, good. Okay. So I have a case that I want to talk to you about.
Wait, what part of the song do you want?
The part of the song that's probably the most important is the middle part. Going to pick off a tick real quick before the devil gets within. The line to clear my mind. I sure could use it for a little more time. You probably want to be singing that part.
So next time you come on the show, I'll be singing your song. We'll fix it up so it has the intro joiner and all that stuff. You know, you might want to do it as the outro. How much time do we have? Okay. So Brian, just figure it out. So Dr. Horowitz, there is a 15-month-old baby boy, and his doctor, he has noticeable sign. He's inflamed. He's not talking very much, but he's a very active little boy. He's the cutest little thing, but he's swollen. He has redness, rashes, and he has allergies, I believe, to wheat and dairy. But the doctor, I have brought it up to the parents' attention that I believe that this is a reaction to milk. But the pediatrician has made it very clear to the mother that the child needs to continue consuming dairy. They've taken him off of wheat, but they want for him to lose the sensitivity of dairy. And so they are pretty much giving him poison. I mean, to me, that's my opinion. What is your opinion as a medical doctor for children that do have these sensitivities, that their skin is full of eczema and their face is red?
Well, I mean, you have to do an elimination diet. I mean, we'll pick this up when we do the next section. But, you know, after you've done the testing, and we'll go through this a little bit before, you know, when we get back on, the elimination diet is the most important thing you need to do for these people. You've got to get off sugar and grains and gluten and dairy and nuts. I mean, you have to get off all of these things because it's the only way that you're going to know for sure, because sometimes the testing may not pick it all up. And in a 15-year-old, you know, little boy.
No, he's 15 months. 15 months.
So in a 15-month-year-old, I mean, they can do a pinprick blood test to try and send off a delayed hypersensitivity. I mean, I think some of these companies actually have it where they can do it just on a drop of blood, but they really need to be done with both immediate and delayed hypersensitivity markers. But a lot of times it's an elimination diet. There's absolutely no choice. Off sugar, grains, gluten, dairy, nuts, shellfish, corn. You've got to get off the common food allergens.
Oh, here we go.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959.
I don't know what Brian's going to do.
Here's Lillian.
Are we going to start with the song, Brian?
We're in a song right now.
We're going to what?
You're live.
Okay. That is Dr. Richard Horowitz singing. I don't know if I could not hear it, but I'm hoping that you could hear Dr. Richard Horowitz. Let me tell you about this man. And he is not only on the Lillian McDermott radio show, but later today, Netflix is going to interview him. NBC is going to interview him. He is going to be he's already published in the International Journal of Medicine, right, Dr. Horowitz?
The International Journal of General Medicine, yes.
Of General Medicine.
Coming out.
It's coming out soon. This information that you're getting on the Lillian McDermott radio show, you won't hear it in the news. You won't hear things like that because the pharmaceutical industry, the food industry is very, very much intertwined with paying for advertisement. Who doesn't want paid for advertisement? I'm always looking for sponsors. And so right now you're listening to the Lillian McDermott radio show. I normally say, welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show where we always learn from one another and we can hear each other worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. My phone is blowing up. I'm not even looking at it. I'm seeing the phone blow up all because Dr. Richard Horowitz is here because he's our teacher today and he's teaching us how we can get better from our allergies. So many of us believe that we believe what we've been taught. There was a time when we thought the earth was flat. Guess what? A new truth came out, right? And so now we believe otherwise. But there's still people who believe the earth is flat. I need to look into that a little bit more. But the bottom line is that we need to discern what's right for us. And we have teachers come on the show day after day to share this new truth. And I am so excited that we have a website where we could all come together. WhenYouNeedAFriend.com. Please, if you haven't become a subscriber, please become a subscriber. That way you'll know ahead of time what's going on. But when you become a subscriber, it's a two-step process. So first, you will get an email. And once you confirm that email, you will get access to my Mind, Body, Spirit Positive Affirmation audio link and my 90-day challenge to self-love ebook. But you can listen to all the shows and check out my sponsors. See how you can promote and support our sponsors, because without them, the show would not happen. So check out the website. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. All my contact information is there. Check it out at whenYouNeedAFriend.com. And you can go on demand. Let's grow together on all of my social media, podcast, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio. You can call and leave the message. The fifth caller or texter will get a free copy of the book, How Can I Get Better? You can also follow Dr. Horowitz on his website, which is, I had it here and it just blanked out on me. Cangetbetter.com. Cangetbetter.com. So you're listening to excellent information, and I hope that you will keep trying. As the fifth caller or texter, 407-373-5959. Well, Dr. Richard Horowitz, I'm thankful that you're looking rather dapper. And I thought it was for me, but really it's for Netflix, NBC, and I get to take advantage of that. You look I'm so excited that this information is going to come out. So, Dr. Horowitz, we were discussing off the air, trying to force the body into accepting these allergens so that we can live with it, like dairy. Some people cannot get rid of their meat. Some people cannot get rid of their eggs or their dairy, their nuts, whatever. But you're saying that we need to practice discernment to figure out what is causing our inflammation.
Right. I mean, you have to listen to your body. So, for example, anyone who says within a few minutes of eating a food, you notice that your nose is starting to stuff up. You're starting to sneeze. You're getting itching. Those are symptoms of histamine release. And for example, what I was starting to talk about earlier is that I had asthma when I was very young. Yeah. And I found that I have a problem with histamine foods. So if I eat certain foods...
Let's talk about those histamines. What are those?
Right. So histamine basically is released from certain cells in your skin and in your body. They're called mast cells and beta cells. And some people have what's called mast cell activation disorder, mastocytosis. But even if you're not having a serious histamine problem, you could still be having a problem that causes an increase in your allergies and asthma. So for example, with me, once I get off my allergic foods, especially dairy, I don't need my inhaler anymore for my asthma. And my wife used to affectionately call me Itchy Richie. Because every time I would be eating some of these foods, right, I would start to itch a lot. And so one of the ways you know if you're histamine sensitive, if you take your fingernail and you try and write, for example, your first initial on your forearm.
Yes.
And if it comes up within the first, let's say, 10 seconds, that's called a wheal, W-H-E-A-L, a wheal. That means you have histamine release from your skin, and that tells you may be someone who's histamine sensitive. So you can check in the blood, apart from checking immediate hypersensitivity, IgE, delayed hypersensitivity, antibodies against foods, IgG, anti-gliadin antibodies if you're gluten sensitive, or TTG, checking for alpha-gal allergies if you've been bitten by a tick. You can also check histamine levels in the blood and in the urine, or a tryptase level. If you think you may have leaky gut, that you're very allergic to foods, you check what's called a zonulin level, Z-O-N-U-L-I-N. This will tell you if you might have leaky gut. But you have to get off your allergic foods. If you find that you are someone who's complaining of resistant fatigue and migraines that won't go away, with headaches and sleep disorders and mood swings and pain, you've got to do an elimination diet and get off sugar. grains, gluten, dairy, nuts, and other common food allergens like corn, shellfish. If you don't do this, and really you need to do this actually for several months for some people, avoiding them, you stay off for several months, and then you start to introduce them one by one back into the diet, keeping a food diary. And the food diary, listening to your body, listening to the wisdom of your body, it will basically tell you what's going on. But it's very important to do this because our diet is not just causing these symptoms, it's also affecting the microbiome of your gut. And we now know that the bacteria in your gut is responsible for giving you the right vitamins, fighting pathogens. But it also balances autoimmune disease like MS and rheumatoid arthritis. It modulates your hormones if you're a woman with PMS and hormone problems. They've shown that it's the bacteria in the gut that are responsible for this. It modulates your risk of a heart attack and cardiovascular risk, psychiatric diseases like Parkinson's, schizophrenia, modulates cancer risk. All of these things have now been linked up to the bacteria in your gut. So
what about dementia and Alzheimer's?
Well, you know, they are showing that the microbiome is responsible also for a lot of these different diseases. But it's interesting with Alzheimer's, in my new book, under the neurology section, I found that 9 out of 16 factors on the 16-point MSIDS map have now been associated with Alzheimer's. They're finding bacteria, viruses. They're finding that pesticides from the environment are showing up in the brains of people with Alzheimer's. Too much sugar with insulin resistance, sleep disorders. There's a lot of different things causing inflammation that are now linked up to Alzheimer's. So people need to realize that you've got to understand that chronic disease looks like it's multifactorial for many of us. It's not one thing that's making people sick. It can be infections, it can be toxins, it can be the microbiome of your gut, it could be the foods that you're eating, you're not exercising, you're not sleeping. It's the 16-point model for me that's really the paradigm shift in chronic disease.
Yes, and that 16-point model is in the book, How Can I Get Better? And for those of you who are listening right now and you want a free copy of this book, you can call, leave a message, or text 407-373-5959. The fifth caller or texter will get a free copy for this book. Dr. Richard Horowitz, I'm so grateful that you've made a commitment to come on the show and share this information. And you talked about so many things just a little while ago, but I wanted to go back. When we start adding foods to our diet, how much time do we wait? You said one at a time. One at a time. So as we're waiting one at a time, if we have a delayed reaction and somebody wants to wait 6 hours or 24 hours, they might be introducing another factor that may or may not be related to that inflammation.
Correct.
So what is your advice?
Right. We usually advise every third day. So if you've been off and again, the foods that really cause the biggest problem is you've got to get off all of your simple sugars, get off grains, gluten, dairy, nuts, corn, shellfish. Those are the most common allergens that most people show up for. But you should be tested if you're not sure. Once you do that, though, and you're off for several months, it's every third day you introduce the foods back in, keeping a diary and listening to your body, because some people have delayed hypersensitivity reactions where it can be 48 hours later after eating a food. So it's really necessary to be off these for a while, only introduce them one by one. And, you know, for some people, it's tricky because it could be nightshade family foods, right? It could be tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, peppers that cause an increase in their arthritis. About 10% of the US population, their pain is due to nightshade. But if you're somebody with hypoglycemia and asthma and allergic rhinitis, it could be histamine foods. And Dr. Amy Myers, she wrote a great blog on Mind Body Green several years ago on histamine foods for people who want to look it up on the internet. But you need to avoid doing that.
Okay, and we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. Richard Horowitz as we listen to his singing voice and debut on the Lillian McDermott radio show with the Tick song. And we're going to continue our conversation worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. Call and text 407-373-5959. Okay, so mics are off. Great. Okay, so I went to my allergist, and my allergist failed me. I was the one that pushed for my allergy testing. Now, Can we do this ourselves? Can we demand these kind of tests, or do we need to have a doctor's written?
I mean, to do an IgE and an IgG test, you do need a doctor to run those tests. The problem is, I think most people don't realize that it's not just about a scratch test or a RAS test from the allergist, which is IgE. You've got to do the delayed IgG for a lot of these people, but also checking for, I mean, I've had women come in who had undiagnosed celiac disease because no one ever bothered to run gluten markers with an anti-gliadin or a TTG, which are the markers of that. Some people with anaphylaxis don't think about checking for alpha-gal, this Lone Star tick allergy that's now spreading across the United States. So you do need your physician for most of these, but of course you could just do an elimination diet, right? Mm-hmm. Getting off of the foods we've talked about.
Okay, that's a good point that we need to bring back, because yes, we can do all these tests, but the best thing. Oh, I've got a question here. Where do we go to get these tests? So if you can keep that in mind. I'm sorry, I've got like all these texts. Let me catch up here on my text.
Sure.
Okay. Brian.
Yo.
If you, what?
I said yo.
Oh, yo. Okay, you said yo. Let me know. Are you going to play his tick song right now when we come in? Okay, can you let me know when you start the music and when I need to? Because I heard the theme song, my theme song.
Yeah, that's it. Because if you get sent down line, you get through whatever plays through Simian. I have it on an external drive.
Oh, okay. So just let me know when I need to talk by either whispering in my ear or typing it on the chat line.
Okay, it'll be easier. I'll just say it in your ear.
How can you know what your delay is? Whether it's a day or 2 days or a few days, if you don't know your body delays, how can you tell what food is giving you the sensitivity? Which I think you addressed. I don't know when this text came in.
Mm-hmm. One of the things, by the way, when we finish up, we should discuss the Mediterranean diet for people, that they understand what a paleo diet and a Mediterranean diet is. I think that's important for people because it's shown a lot of health benefits.
Yeah.
So that would be good to share with people so they, have these.
Yeah, you talked about the paleo diet, but I want to make sure, because paleo, some people that eat paleo, they just eat meat.
Yeah.
That's it, meat.
Yeah, that's not what paleo is.
No, okay. So can we kind of identify that as well? There's so much. Okay, and then let's identify the doctor question, what allergist to go to, or.
Yeah, these are usually integrative practitioners who can do some of this, like IgG delay testing. That's usually going to be an integrative practitioner.
Okay. Here we go.
All right, coming up. Hold on. Right after this little part. 3, 2, 1.
I can't hear it.
You're live.
Oh, I am? Oh, I get to. I thought you were playing the tick song. Okay.
I did.
Oh, you did. You see, I can't hear anything. So this is great. You're listening to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. Welcome back. And today we are talking to Dr. Richard Horowitz. I'm telling you, this is such a great show. And if I do say so myself, and for those of you who would like a free copy of this book, you have, if you really, really want it, you better keep texting because you never know what number you're at. So 5th caller or texter, 407-373-5959. So if you really, really want it, keep texting. Okay, so cangetbetter.com. And you know what? I tried to get to it, but until I put the www. I didn't get to it. So there must be a connection with the W, but cangetbetter.com is the website. Now, I've had some questions for Dr. Horowitz that we've been discussing off the air, and you can catch this. You can watch us later on YouTube. Just go to whenyounneedafriend.com and click on the YouTube link, and it'll just take you there. Dr. Horowitz, we had some questions that I think you've already addressed, but one of the questions that we want to talk about, again, I want to emphasize, people are asking, where do we get these tests? Where do we go? And you responded beautifully off the air, so I just wanted to kind of mention that again.
So the local testing, most of your doctors can do an IgE test. They can check a histamine level in the blood for histamine sensitivity, or a tryptase level if you're histamine sensitive. Most of the doctors, again, will be able to do a lot of the gut testing for people, but your doctor usually is going to be an integrative doctor who does functional medicine. Those are the ones who usually will do like a CDSA, a comprehensive digestive stool analysis, or who will do a delayed hypersensitivity test like an IgG. So these can be done by your local doctor, but they just have to understand that there are specialized laboratories that will run these type of tests to be able to do them. But they can be done by any doctor. They just have to know which laboratories to use.
Okay, but you also mentioned that another way that you can do this is by doing the elimination diet.
Yes, certainly. I mean, most people, I believe, because we find a lot of our patients have food allergies and sensitivities, probably at least half of the patients who come to see me are sensitive to certain foods. So they're not necessarily true allergies, but it increases all of their symptoms, whether they're tired or achy or have headaches or brain fog or mood swings. The foods are causing problems because they have hypoglycemia, they have blood sugar swings, or they have too much yeast overgrowth in their colon from candida. They've got to get off yeast in their diet, or they're histamine sensitive. They've got to do a histamine-free diet. So it's important for people to realize that in general, you know, it's not all that confusing if you basically get on an anti-inflammatory diet, which for most of us is going to be a Mediterranean-style diet / paleo diet, meaning you're eating a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, organic, just very small portions of red meat, eggs, and dairy for those who aren't dairy sensitive, healthy fats like omega-3 fatty acids, avocado oils, omega-9 from extra virgin olive oil, very low and simple carbohydrates. What will happen is if you lower the carbohydrate content of your meals and you do a paleo style with small frequent meals, a lot of people are going to lose weight. Their energy is going to get better. They're going to notice their headaches are going to get better. And what's great about it is they've shown that if you do this, it also regenerates the mitochondria in your cells. So if you do a ketogenic diet, you get off of the simple sugars, the parts of your cells that make energy, you're going to have more of the mitochondria being produced. It changes the genetics in your body, called epigenetics, how the genes express themselves. It'll lower inflammation. So a Mediterranean style / paleo diet lowers inflammation. It's been good for cardiovascular diseases. And then we will heal the gut using things like glutamine, proper probiotic that are put into the gut, eating proper types of yogurt, again, if you're not dairy allergic, N-acetylcysteine, deglycerinated licorice will heal the upper gut with aloe vera and glutamine. So even enzyme therapy, some people are enzyme deficient. And you can find out about this on tests like the CDSA and asking your doctor to check your pancreatic enzymes. If you're gluten sensitive, running delayed hypersensitivity tests. But ultimately, as you said, Lillian, you've got to do an elimination diet for most people. You've got to get off sugar, off of yeast, a histamine-free diet. This is very important. Most people don't realize they're this sensitive to a large number of foods that they're eating every day.
So when you say off of yeast, what you mean is foods that cause candida? Like, correct. Okay, so dairy, sugar, wheat.
Right. Most breads, cheeses, mushrooms, fermented foods, soy sauce, tempeh, alcohol, anything that's going to drive yeast. And there's about 10% of my patients, their fatigue and their pain and their headaches is not due to Lyme. It's due to a problem with a candida yeast overgrowth in the gut.
Well, what about the people that are doing candida, or kombucha and pickles and all this fermented foods? What about that? Is that causing yeast too?
Absolutely. And in fact, the problem is we think that kombucha and doing bone broths, for example, a lot of people do this and they think it's healthy. But if you're histamine sensitive, like my wife was doing bone broths and doing a lot of these, and she was waking up in the morning vomiting with migraine headaches. And I said, what are you eating? And she said, oh, I'm having pickles and I'm having fermented foods. And I said, get off of it. And within 48 hours, her migraines completely stopped. Her stomach pains completely stopped that she was using over-the-counter Zantac because she was histamine sensitive and she's got a candida problem. So people have to understand that food is so important in driving the inflammatory reaction in many people's symptoms.
Unbelievable. And for those of you, my listening friend, you can't have Dr. Richard Horowitz walking around with you all day, only in this 1 hour on the Lillian McDermott radio show or on Netflix pretty soon and NBC pretty soon. But you can also get a copy of How Can I Get Better? And that way you'll have him with you the whole entire time. This book will teach us how to take our life back and work on 100% responsibility for ourselves, for our life. And Dr. Horowitz, I'm glad that you took the time to do this, and you're working so much to spread this word. How does it feel? Do you feel like a lone wolf, or do you feel like how do you feel about all the work and how it's paying off at this point?
No, I mean, it feels empowering, and truthfully, it feels like a blessing. I mean, anytime you are put in a situation where you can benefit large numbers of people, kind of the way you're doing on your radio show, it feels like a blessing, because not all of us have that opportunity to be able to benefit so many people. So, no, I mean, I feel blessed from him. I mean, it's not an easy job. I mean, it can be challenging and demanding, but anything worthwhile in this life, you probably know, it takes effort. And sometimes it's an uphill battle, but I think over time, as we're trying to figure out these chronic disease epidemics in the United States, 86% of our healthcare costs are due to chronic disease, and our Congress is trying to figure out how to lower healthcare costs. Well, the answer is you've got to look at all these overlapping causes, these 16 reasons of what's causing chronic disease, and you can't ignore food, bacterial infections like Lyme, environmental toxins getting into people. You have to look at all of these factors, these multifactorial factors that are causing inflammation. So it's a paradigm shift, but I do feel blessed that I've had an opportunity to share this with people.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing. Many people would rather take a pill than taking responsibility to figure out what are the multiple factors. It may not just be one thing. It could be multiple things. I mean, you talk about supplements and prebiotics and probiotics, and we addressed that a little bit more earlier with the kombucha and all the fermented foods. What is one thing that we can do to start this journey in getting better? What would you say?
The most important thing is to listen to your body. So, for example, if you're someone that suffers from chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, you're tired, you have headaches, you have pain, you have memory problems, you've got unexplained gut issues that you're going to the GI doctor with gas, bloating, reflux with vomiting and pain, and no one's been able to figure out why you're sick. You need to go to the 16-point model, but do the elimination diet that we talked about today. And get off of your sugar and off of your grains, off of dairy, off of histamine foods, yeast. It's not easy, but many people will find that their health will significantly improve. Even if you have other reasons why you're ill, the food is often causing a big factor in why people are staying ill.
Yeah, and Dr. Horowitz, a doctor may have prescribed the pill to the patient, but it's not getting them better either. So your advice is excellent. Thank you, Dr. Horowitz. Good luck today with Netflix and everything that you're doing. I'm looking forward to our next conversation.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Lily.
And to you, my listening friend, I'll be right here waiting for you. You can take a pill or you can take responsibility. It's your choice. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Yay. Good job. Good job. Okay, so what time is Netflix coming today?
They're coming at 5 o'clock. NBC's around 1:30, so it's a busy day today.
Yeah, so you're going to be telling people, don't touch the dew, don't touch the dew. I'm just going to sit here and look pretty. So good job, Dr. Horowitz, and I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud that, I don't know who sent me your book, by the way. Someone sent me your book, and it's sad because I'm so busy with doing shows every day. You should see the stack of books that I have. And whoever was.
It probably was St. Martin. I'm assuming probably someone from St. Martin's.
They may have. And I received this book, and I reached out to Ashley. And I said, I got this book. Do you know who it's from? And she said, no, I don't. And so we looked into it. I looked at your book, and I thought, let's do it. Let's do it. And so well done, Dr. Horowitz. Your hard work is paying off, and congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm going to turn off the recording, and I want to thank all the viewers that took the time to see, and I'm sure I'll send it to you, Dr. Horowitz, so that your adoring fans can watch it too. Okay? Let me turn off the